Hi, welcome to another episode of the Book Review. In this episode, we shall be reviewing a book by Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. For most of you, you know Trevor Noah as a stand-up comedian from South Africa who now hosts The Daily Show in the US. When I first got my hands on this book, I don't know how well it would have translated or how I thought he would translate his comedy into a written format. They are two different things. But based on recommendations from friends and from other people who read the book, I thought I should give it a try. And I must say, it's a brilliant book. I was very impressed with the way he wrote it, the way he told his stories in this book. It's told in such a way as if it's conversational, and that's what makes it very well. Starting off first off with the title, Born a Crime. Trevor Noah was literally born a crime. He was born to a Swiss German father and a black South African mother. Now, if you know anything about apartheid in the 1980s, below that, you will know that it was illegal for a white person and a black person to have sexual relations. And then the evidence of that actually happening was having a mixed race child. So typically, Trevor was a crime. Trevor, in the same book, talks about his own experiences during the apartheid era, growing up in that time. For example, he mentions that he was unable to walk hand in hand with his father. When he went to the park, his father would have to go a distance ahead before he could actually be with him. The mother as well would have to pretend that she was actually the maid and not the mother of Trevor, because if either of them was found with a mixed race child, it was a crime. What was also challenging was, because he was a mixed race child, Trevor Noah grew up in Soweto and Alexandria, but he had to remain indoors because those neighborhoods were primarily black neighborhoods. So Trevor mentions that he spent a lot of his childhood alone, and that kind of affected him even as he grew older. He even writes that he now finds it not strange to spend hours and hours alone, more or less consider it as self-introversion. Now, what makes this book also good is that Trevor provides a history lesson. He touches on many topics, not only during the apartheid era, about race. He talks about poverty, he talks about language, he talks about culture, he talks about the way people think, and he gives a very good perspective and social commentary on that. One of the instances that Trevor talks about is his own identity crisis, for example. Because he was a mixed child, he didn't know where he belonged. Oftentimes when he went to schools, he would find that he didn't know whether he'd hang out with the white kids, the black kids, or the colored kids. But eventually, Trevor identifies himself as black because he mainly grew up in a black household. So even though he is mixed race, he really does not identify himself with the coloreds. And therefore, he talks about certain instances where that sometimes worked in his favor or it did work in his favor. In this book also, Trevor starts it off from his own childhood, growing up all the way until he's an adult. But I must say, Trevor was a little piece of work. He was some piece of work. If Trevor was my child, I think either I would have been insane, he would have been flushed in the toilet, or one of us would have been dead by now. Because he was, he was a piece of work. I honestly think that people would think he was crazy or he was a lunatic, because the stuff that he did as a child, it is just hilarious, it is funny, and it is cringe-worthy. So I would recommend that you read these chapters in this book. The other thing that he talks about as well, that he stresses, is his use of language. He talks about how he learned how to speak Afrikaans, English, Songa, Swana, Zulu, Xhosa, and he helped him become a kind of chameleon in which it is used to break down barriers. He said that language was a way that he could move between groups, move between people and be accepted, and therefore he has a gift for learning languages, and therefore it helped him on later on in life. He also does mention a very good incident where he used language to diffuse an almost serious episode, but I will not break it down for you. I will not give you a spoiler. You have to read it so you know what he talks about. He then talks about his relationship with his mother. His mother, in my opinion, even though this book is about Trevor Noah, is the hero of his book. She is incredible. She is a wonderful woman, an inspiring woman, and she is the one who raised Trevor Noah to be the man that he is. She weaves across the book like this matador, like this this Wonder Woman of a person who goes against society, who goes against the norm, who goes against what everybody else thinks to provide a better life, not only for herself, but for her child. Because she knows what she wants, and she knows the life that she has lived, and she would like to have something better for her son, and I believe she really accomplished it. And then you also have some very deep emotional episodes in the book. For example, his relationship with his stepfather, a relationship that was difficult and abusive in many places, and then his relationship as well with his father, who was absent for a good portion of his life. So you find that Trevor tackles these things, not that you should pity him, but rather he provides his own perspective, more or less like, that is life, it happened, I have to deal with the situation, but don't feel too bad for me, because this is how I dealt with it. So that is what makes this book very endearing. For many memoirs, they sound like history lessons, they sound like someone is just giving you an academic work or a class. But Trevor does this very well with great storytelling, great humor, and a great perspective in what he thinks led to certain situations. So I would highly recommend this book for you to read.